People used to lock up their tea. You might think people love tea today, but the lengths they went to in Stuart and Georgian Britain was a bit bonkers. Back then, tea was imported from China and therefore very expensive, and only the rich could afford it. It was so expensive, in fact, that special tea boxes were made with locks on them, so no one could steal your tea. It was always kept where the mistress of the house could see it, which is why tea making became such an occasion. You wouldn't trust your servants to make you a cuppa. Would you lock up your Yorkshire gold tea bags today? Napoleon wasn't that short. If you know one thing about Napoleon, you know that he was short. Except he wasn't. He was actually 5'6", which was the average height for men of the time. He was probably made fun of as little in propaganda pictures by his enemies to make him seem less powerful. But Napoleon himself was no shorter than most men. He also liked to surround himself with very tall soldiers, which probably made him look smaller too. Britain once banned Christmas. Can you think of anything worse? But it's true, between 1644 and 1660, Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell, a sort of unelected prime minister, banned the celebration of Christmas. Cromwell was a Puritan, a sort of very strict Christian who believed that fun things like dancing, music, and even makeup were sinful and upset God. Unsurprisingly, this wasn't very popular, and there were even riots over it. The English might not have liked it, but the Scots weren't as bothered. In Scotland, there was no Christmas celebration from 1640 until 1958. Well, it wasn't a public holiday anyway. That means your great-granddad might have had to go to work on Christmas. More than one English king has died on the toilet. Can you think of a more embarrassing way to go? We hate when someone accidentally walks in on us, let alone being found dead on the loo. The first English king to die on the loo was King Edmund in 1016, who got stabbed to death while doing his business. In 1216, exactly 200 years later, King John died on or near his loo from dysentery. Then, in 1760, King George II also went to his maker, whilst on the porcelain throne. You might not be a cat person, but you surely can't hate them as much as Pope Gregory IX. Between 1233 and 1234, Gregory, who, as leader of the Catholic Church, had a lot of power, decreed that cats were agents of Satan and should be destroyed. Maybe once scratched up his sofa real bad? This led to a mass killing of the poor moggies, which in turn probably led to an outbreak in plague. George Washington didn't have wooden teeth. It's one of the most enduring American myths. President George Washington has a mouthful of wooden toothy pegs. As funny as the image is, it's not true. George Washington did indeed have false teeth, but they were made from ivory and other people's teeth. Roman Emperor once declared a war on the sea. According to the stories, Emperor Caligula, who was known to be a bit of a hothead, was returning home from a failed invasion of Britain and desperate to have a war with something. It would be embarrassing to go home empty-handed, right? Well, Caligula decided to declare war on the nearest thing he could find, Neptune, god of the sea. He ordered his men to whip the waves and collect shells as proof of victory. You could get a job in Victorian Britain. As a poo collector, being a kid today can be tough, but spare a thought for Victorian children. One of the jobs, yup, they had jobs and they were rubbish ones, open to poor Victorian kids was helping the night soil man. What's night soil? Why, it's poo. Before they had proper plumbing, poo would pile up in a cesspit under your privy until the night soil man arrived with his cart to take it away. It was called night soil partly because the task was done at night. Halloween is historically Scottish and Irish. You might think of Halloween as a very American import to the UK and the rest of the world. Trick-or-treating, dressing up, telling spooky stories. But it actually has its origins in Scotland and Ireland. Halloween is an old Scots word for All Hallows Eve, a Christian holy day with its origins in the earlier pagan Samhain. On Halloween, Scottish and Irish people would dress up in spooky masks and costumes to scare away evil spirits. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and watch another video here.